For the role of Angela Vickers, Stevens set his sights on 17-year-old actress Elizabeth Taylor. Taylor had been a staple of such MGM films as Lassie Come Home, National Velvet, and Little Women. It was her striking work in A Place in the Sun that would propel Taylor from family films to serious roles.
He had me come over to his office at the studio to meet Monty. And so we all met at the same time. And I was terrified of meeting him. I was so in awe of him. And he was putting Monty just as much ill at ease as I was. We were both scared witless. And George was like the puppeteer. He was playing us both off, watching and seeing our reactions to each other. And I kind of twigged that after a while, and I think Monty did too. So we just relaxed and were ourselves with each other.
After their first meeting, Paramount arranged for Cliff to take Elizabeth Taylor to the premiere of The Heiress. Although they had just recently met, the two got on famously.
We giggled our way through that, because Monty had never been in a tuxedo. And it was a funny night.
Do I make you nervous?
Yes.
You look like an Eastman. Are you one of them?
Mm-hmm. I'm a nephew. My name's George.
I'm Angela.
Vickers. I saw you here last spring.
I don't remember seeing you before.
I think one of the bold strokes in this film was the casting of Elizabeth Taylor. She had worked at MGM, and only at MGM, and my father chose her and arranged for her to come from MGM. She was 17 years old, and she was the most beautiful woman you can imagine.
Her performance was somewhat of a surprise, how good it was, how natural she was, how good her instincts were, her movements, her turns, her hesitations, all that. She wasn't coached particularly by George in doing all those things. He said what he wanted, and she was very quick to interpret. She was very clever.
Well, all my teachers, because I never had an acting lesson in my life, all my teachers were the people I acted with, that I was directed by. The experience of my life one-on-one with people on the set. And that was how I learned whatever was my technique. It was purely instinctive.
There's a quality in Elizabeth that I just find profoundly moving. And it was certainly the first step of hers as a serious actress. And she built on that over the years.
Seems like we always spend the best part of our time just saying goodbye.
A Place in the Sun was the first of 3 films Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift made together. It also marked the beginning of a lifelong friendship that would last until Clift's death in 1966 from a heart attack at age 45.
I will always love Monty. We got along as friends and then as actors. And for the first time in my life, I started to take acting seriously, because my leading men before had been dogs and horses. And this was my first leading man and my first real actor. I thought, wait a minute, what's he doing? What's he up to? And I started to listen and realized that it was more than just cut, make some lines you'd learned the night before, hit your mark, you know. But it was more than that it was something that could make this man shake from head to toe with emotion. And I thought, I've got to find out what it is inside him that moves him so completely, emotionally, that can get him to that state as George Eastman, not Montgomery Clift, to make the sweat literally come out on his body, to make his eyes actually fill with tears as George Eastman. And I thought, what is he doing? And I began to think about acting, and I would listen to George's direction on a totally different level that I had other directors, and began to understand the reasons they had for certain directions. And I think that's when I first began to act.
Oh, Angela, if I could only tell you how much I love you. If I could only tell you all.
Tell Mama. Tell Mama all.
The timing was particularly fortuitous for me because I'd only received my real kiss in real life 2 weeks before. It would have been really embarrassing if my first kiss had been on screen, not in real life. Anyway, my kiss with Monty was much more exciting, and it just happened. There was no direction. I wasn't told what to do. I just did. I kissed him instinctively.